All right, the Democrats wrapped up on convention last night, but after 4 nights of speeches from dozens of prominent members, do we have a clear understanding of where the party and Joe Biden stand on policy? Well, joining us now is the Democrats' vice presidential nominee in 2000, former Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman. Senator, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sean. Lindsay, good to be with you.
Senator, I want to get to the DNC and Joe Biden in just a moment, but you were a champion of post office reform when you were in the Senate. And I know I talked to one of your colleagues, your former colleagues today, who really was talking about how much you led that effort. I don't know how much you saw of the testimony today of the Postmaster General. We were just talking about this. How much of this is a real issue in terms of delivery, and how much of it is a political issue meant to scare people?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I did not get to hear the testimony this morning. But look, the world has changed around the post office. Obviously, we're all sending out much less first-class mail. On the other hand, the remarkable change to commerce online has created an opportunity for the Postal Service, because it's so good at delivering to the last mile, as they call it, that it's doing pretty well at carrying packages, but it needs to be updated. So that's a separate problem. It became intertwined with the concern about the number of mail-in ballots this fall, and the president's suggestion at one point, which scared people on the Democratic side, that the election might have to be postponed. But I think it's been separated out now, and I loved it when somebody in the post office said, "Look, we deliver," I don't know what they said, hundreds of millions, maybe billions of cards and packages at Christmas time. We can handle mail-in ballots.
That's right. Exactly. All right. Well, let's get back to the business at hand, Senator. You were the nominee in 2000. You were always known as a very pragmatic kind of senator, the kind of guy that could get a deal done and find middle ground. Do you, and I mean this respectfully, do you recognize the party that you were the nominee of that nominated Joe Biden and Kamala Harris last night?
Yeah, I do recognize it, and I recognize a lot of the people in it, particularly Joe Biden, who has been in that party for a long time and basically has been a mainstream Democrat. But there's no question that 2000 was the end of the 8 years of the Bill Clinton-Al Gore administration, which was a new Democratic, moderate Democratic administration. Clinton and Newt Gingrich created this remarkable odd couple partnership and got all sorts of great things done for the country. The Democratic Party today is more to the left, to just put it simplistically, than it was then. But there's still a lot of people who want it to be a pragmatic centrist party, because that's the way you get elected in America. And I hope that's the way it'll go in this election.
You know, we saw Joe Biden last night in his speech speak to the injustice highlighted by the youth. Take a listen.
One of the most powerful voices we hear in the country today is from our young people. They're speaking to the inequity and injustice that has grown up in America. Economic injustice, racial injustice, environmental injustice.
We heard Joe Biden say just last month that if he becomes the president, he'd be the most progressive administration to date. You know him. What say you?
Well, I know Joe as what I call a center-left Democrat, not way out by any means, and somebody in the Senate who always wanted to get things done and worked a lot across party lines. I mean, he got in trouble earlier this year, I guess, in the campaign, because, you know, at various times he worked with quite conservative Republican senators on the Judiciary Committee or the Foreign Relations Committee to try to accomplish things. That's his nature, and I think that, there's a growing progressive, liberal, socialist group within the Democratic Party. I don't agree with them on most things, but they are part of the party. And this week at the Democratic Convention clearly was a big tent operation, to quote a great former Republican leader, Lee Atwater, all the way from John Kasich to Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez. You're covering a lot of ground, but it's Joe Biden's party now. And Joe Biden is more of a center-left Democrat and always was willing to work across party lines. So I expect you're going to see him reach out to Republicans in the Congress in a way that we've not seen probably since Bill Clinton was president.
The thing that I wonder about that, I get your point. I think Joe Biden left to his devices might do that. And I think you're right. But I think the problem is you see the party get tugged by people like AOC and a lot of these new progressives. It's fascinating, Senator. In Massachusetts, there's a primary, as you know, Senator Ed Markey's being challenged by Congressman Kennedy. And the person that Markey has brought in to endorse him isn't, the standard bearer of the Democratic Party. It's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, she is the new it person in the Democratic Party, and she's definitely left. It's to me a fascinating dynamic. I remember back in the day, you would want people like Joe Lieberman to come in and say, yes, this is a good person. Now we want a freshman, member of Congress who's far to the left. Senator, I want to switch. Don't you think? I mean, that to me, the dynamic has just switched.
If I read this right this morning, Sean, the odd thing on the other side is that Nancy Pelosi has endorsed Joe Kennedy, who's challenging Ed Markey. At least that was a strong rumor, and that's a real upside down situation.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question, and I mean this like totally respectfully to Vice President Biden, but the Trump campaign has made mental fitness a big issue for him. You've known him a long time. I mean, the fact of the matter is he would be 78 years old on the day he was sworn in. Do you think he has the mental capacity to run the free world?
I do. I really do. But this is a question that the voters will have to answer for themselves as this campaign goes forward. And they watch Joe Biden, I suppose, particularly in the debates. But I would say certainly during this week, some of it was taped, a lot of it was live, as in the speech last night. And in interactions with reporters, such as they've been, I think Joe Biden is all there. But I understand people asking that. Look, he'd be the oldest person ever to become president. On the other hand, the average age of Americans is a lot older than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. And incidentally, because I'm Joe Biden's age, I think it's a young and vital and virile age.
Yeah. Well, you look like you're doing great.
Thank God.
All right, Senator Lieberman, thank you for joining us and giving us your input on this. I wish you well. Stay safe, sir.
You too. Thank you. Be well.
You will. All right, coming up, Democrats are now saying that they don't condone anti-Semitic views of people like Linda Sarsour, but why was she allowed to take part in the DNC to begin with? Her radical positions are nothing new. Trish Regan's going to join us to weigh in on that, and the latest example of free speech getting canceled out on a college campus. You are not going to want to miss this example.